In the summer of 1914, the world stood on the edge of catastrophe. Within weeks, the globe would plunge into a conflict unlike anything it had seen before. Empires would fall, millions would perish, and the course of history would be irrevocably changed. This was the First World War. The early 20th century was a time of rapid change. Industrialization had reshaped cities and economies. Empires stretched across continents, and European powers dominated the globe. But beneath the surface of prosperity, tension simmered. Europe was a web of alliances. The Triple Entente, France, Russia, and Britain, stood opposed to the Triple Alliance of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances, meant to preserve peace, would instead ensure a war on a global scale. Nationalism was rising. Ethnic groups, under imperial rule, demanded independence. Militarism was glorified. The arms race had begun, and war was no longer seen as a last resort, but as a tool of power and prestige. On a quiet Sunday morning, in the city of Sarajevo, a young Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip fired two shots that would change the world. His target, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. The assassination was not just a personal tragedy. It was a geopolitical earthquake. Austria-Hungary, seeking to punish Serbia, issued an ultimatum. When Serbia's response failed to meet all demands, war was declared. What followed was a chain reaction. Germany backed Austria-Hungary. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia. France supported Russia. Germany invaded Belgium to reach France. And Britain, bound by treaty, entered the war. Though the war began in Europe, its impact would be truly global. Colonies were drawn into the conflict. Japan declared war on Germany. The Ottoman Empire sided with the Central Powers. Soldiers from Africa, India, Australia, and Canada would fight and die far from home. By the end of 1914, the war had stalled. The great powers had clashed and bled without delivering a decisive blow. What emerged was a terrifying stalemate, known as trench warfare. From the North Sea to the Swiss border, a line of trenches scarred the earth. Muddy cold, rat-infested, and deadly. This was the Western Front. For 4 long years, millions of men lived and died in these narrow ditches. The Battle of the Marne in September 1914 halted the German advance, saving Paris, but only barely. From then on, progress was measured in yards, not miles. At Verdun in 1916, the French and Germans fought one of the longest battles in human history. Over 300 days of relentless shelling and slaughter. Nearly 1 million men were killed or wounded, and yet the front barely moved. Then came the Somme, July 1st, 1916, a date forever etched in blood. British forces suffered 57,000 casualties on the first day alone. By the end, more than 1 million men had fallen, for a gain of just a few kilometers. While the West was locked in stalemate, the Eastern Front saw greater movement. Germany and Austria-Hungary fought massive battles against Russia across vast stretches of land. In 1915, German forces pushed deep into Russian territory. But the Russians, with their sheer numbers, were relentless until revolution changed everything. World War I was not confined to European soil. In Africa, colonial forces fought for control of German territories. In the Middle East, the British, aided by Arab rebels, challenged Ottoman rule.